So Janet's skin is already primed and ready for foundation. I like to mix a serum into the foundation so it's less coverage. I think the most important thing is that you just cover redness and let the natural skin show through as much as possible. So then I go and add a concealer. Now, with anybody's skin that just has a few spots, it's important to just spot conceal, which is what I'm doing now. That just covers what you need to cover instead of covering the whole skin. Then I go in with a little bit of concealer under the eyes, so it helps to just cover any redness, any dark circles, but naturally, so you still see, again, the natural skin coming through. Sometimes with under the eyes, there is a lot more redness, so then you can do the same thing like spot concealing under the eyes and just touch the areas that need a little bit of extra help. I like to apply my products with a flat brush onto the skin because it gives you a really good coverage. And then I'll go in and use a more fluffier brush to remove any excess that might just be sitting on top of the skin. And I think like when you're trying to give a real natural finish to a skin, it's really important that you let it show through any makeup that you are applying. When I do foundation, I just tend to go around the whole face apart from the eyes. And the reason why is because the eyes are just so much thinner than the rest of the face. And you don't want to add too much product, like a foundation and a concealer. And anyways, your eyes really don't need that much coverage. Really, they only need a concealer or a foundation. Just choose one or the other, depending on how much darkness or redness or whatever you need to cover. If it's a lot, then I would use a concealer. If it's not a lot, then just try your foundation. That might be enough coverage for you. Not everybody needs a concealer under their eyes. I've had a lot of questions about eyeshadow and how to blend it properly or how to enhance the eyes. One thing that I really recommend is using an eye primer. And usually the older we get, the drier our eyelids are. But there are some people that have oilier eyelids. The drier your eyelids are, the more creamy of a eye primer you want. The oilier they are, the more matte one you want. I've used a creamy one so it doesn't dry, but it'll help blend the eyeshadow and keep it on. I also use a little tiny bit of powder around the T-zone area, so around the nose, a little on the forehead and the chin, and then whatever's left on my brush, I will wipe under the eyes. It's so important not to look too dry under the eyes because anything that's really dry and matte will highlight texture. So let's move on to the brows. I usually like to brush them up and out to see what I'm working with. You can use an old mascara wand, or you can even get a brush that looks like a mascara wand. Choosing the right brow product can sometimes be really difficult. I like to look at the hair color. I also like to look at the eyebrow hair color. I wouldn't necessarily choose a brow pencil that was exactly the same color as somebody's hair on top of their head, because whenever you add a pencil to the eyebrows, it colors the skin. It doesn't color the hairs. So you need to be aware of that. So what that means is if somebody's hair is really dark and their eyebrow hair is gray, when you add that pencil, you're still going to see the gray hair. It's just going to color the skin. So my recommendation would be to look at the eyebrow hairs and use that as your guide in terms of what color you choose. When I'm filling in eyebrows, my goal above anything else is to lift the eyes up. So that means that the end of the tail should never be lower than the front of the eyebrow. Otherwise, it can make the eyes look like they're drooping. I'm going to be doing a natural smoky eye, and the first product that I'm going to use is just a brown eyeliner. And I'm going to go right into the lashes. I'm not even applying this as an eyeliner, I'm applying it more as a lash liner. So when the eyes are closed, you don't see an eyeliner, but it helps to make the eyelashes look thicker and darker. I think a lot of people get confused as to what a smoky eye is. It basically just means that the darkest point of the smoky eye is towards the lashes, and then it blends out to something soft. In this case, I'm just going to use a light soft brown eyeshadow just to kind of blend into the lashes to get the whole smoky eye process going. Now I want to lift the eyes like I lifted the eyebrows because I want everything lifted. And what I'm going to do is add a darker brown eyeshadow just to the outer corners of the eye. And this is great for anybody that might have a hooded eye shape because it will take that hooded part and recede it or send it back. And it will just make the eyes appear bigger and wider. So when you're doing your own eyeshadow, make sure that you look down and don't close your eyes. Because when you open your eyes, wherever you put the eyeshadow is going to look different. So look down, put the eyeshadow on, and then look straight ahead into the mirror so you can see where the eyeshadow has placed. Now I'm making this a more daytime smoky eye, and typically what people would do for more of an evening smoky eye is add eyeliner to the bottom waterline. I think that's just going to be a little bit too dramatic for Janet. So I just took a little bit of eyeshadow and I placed it in the lashes underneath the eye, so it gives a more natural blended effect. One of the things I like to add to skin is bronzer. I find bronzer adds warmth, it adds radiance, and it also adds dimension without it looking too contour heavy. It will also help to set the foundation because even though somebody may have dry skin, a lot of times you'll find that, within a few hours your foundation or tinted moisturizer might be gone. But a bronzer will help counteract that, so it will last a lot longer. Cream blush can be tricky to use because sometimes people end up putting too much on their brush. The trick is to just put a tiny amount and then rub as much as you can off of the brush. And I promise there will still be some there. And it will come out more natural than a powder blush could ever be. Cream blush is also great for somebody that has textured skin or dry skin. It doesn't highlight those areas, so it just looks like it comes from within the skin rather than sitting on top of the skin. Finding a nude or natural color for somebody over the age of 40 can be so tricky because sometimes people will choose one that they think is nude, but then when they put it on, it tends to wash out your whole face. The trick is to find a color that is maybe one shade darker than your natural lip color, and it will always look natural. I like to use ones that are more coral based or more peachy based rather than pinky based, because sometimes the pinky based ones still look either too colorful or not as natural as you're looking for.